The U.S. is suspending upcoming trade and investment talks with Russia over this crisis. Officials are considering a further series of economic and diplomatic steps to isolate Russia. And now all military-to-military engagements with Russia have been put on hold, according to the Pentagon. That includes all exercises, bilateral meetings, port visits, planning conferences. Brigadier General Kevin Ryan joins me now live from Russia. He's the Director of Defense and Intelligence Projects at Harvard. General, thanks for joining us. How big a deal is this to put on hold this military relationship with Russia?
Well, as far as I know, this has only happened maybe twice before since the end of the Cold War, so it is a big deal. It happened when Russia invaded Georgia, and it happened when NATO forces went into Bosnia. So it's a big deal when this happens. Every year, the two militaries sign an agreement to do anywhere from 60 to 100 joint activities, of which probably anywhere from 40 to 50 are actually done. So it's a robust cooperation plan, and to put it on hold has a big impact.
Do you think it's the right move to put it on hold?
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, it's one of the things that the Defense Department can contribute to an immediate response to what Russia has done. And I heard the conversation earlier about whether this is an invasion or whether these are Russian troops. I can tell you for sure that I served in Berlin during the end of the Cold War, and my job was spotting Russian troops and equipment, and these are unquestionably Russian forces that are in the Crimea. Another thing that's important to note is that all of these forces are spending a huge amount of time encircling police and Ukrainian forces and not really protecting the population. So their activities and their operations indicate a completely different mission than what President Putin is suggesting.
You served in military intelligence. Give us a sense of the capabilities that Russia has and what you think, based on their movements on the ground so far, they might be considering.
Well, so I think, first of all, the Russian military is capable as long as you keep it within a certain geographic region. It's not able to really project power over too long a distance. The Crimea, eastern Ukraine, if it happens, these are places that are within their reach, just as Georgia is. They have all modern equipment. They have the helicopters, the aircraft, the ships, the troops, and the troop carriers. And they are an overmatch for the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians also have a good military. They're patriotic. I'm sure they would fight, especially for the western part of the Ukraine. But they would fight and show themselves well. But the Russians would just be overwhelming in the numbers. I don't think it's going to come to that, a fight. I hope it doesn't. But in terms of the Crimea is already lost. The Russians control it, and there's nothing that the West can do to get it back.
Self-propelled artillery units seem to be, Russian ones seem to be in Crimea now. To explain to us, explain to viewers why that is significant, what artillery units, specifically SP or self-propelled artillery, what that can do and why that might indicate the Russians are preparing for a fight.
Right. Well, if you just have infantry units, if you just have foot soldiers and smaller gauge weapons, then you're not really looking for a battle with an opposing land army. You're basically doing local operations, police work, self-defense, and so on. But by bringing in artillery, the Russians would have signaled that they're prepared to take on larger formations if the Ukrainian military, for example, attempted to march into the Crimea in larger groups. Artillery would be vital to repelling that force.
And lastly, sir, as you say, Russia seems to be in operational control of the Crimea. The next concern, according to U.S. officials, is whether or not they start going into eastern Ukraine. When they went into that Crimea, they had a base that they were coming out of. How would they start launching an incursion into eastern Ukraine? Would it be across the border, or would they come up from the southern peninsula?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that what they would do is come across the border. They would use any of the number of high-speed avenues of approach into the eastern Ukraine, which would be road networks, rails, and airlift and airports. So it would not be difficult for them to cross that border and to position their forces wherever they wanted them. Let me just say that I think, well, you know, all of us maybe have been surprised by the move into the Crimea, so nothing should be discounted. But I don't think it's. I think eastern Ukraine is a lot to swallow for the Russian military, and although they would have a local populace that is supportive, I don't think they need to do that. They can let the eastern Ukraine be a problem for western Ukraine, and keep us and the Ukrainians busy.
Brigadier General Kevin Ryan, thank you so much.